My name is Steve Neal. My first memory of consciousness was at age 3, standing on a sidewalk on 47th Avenue in San Francisco. It was 1955. I looked down at my little body and back up at the sky, marveled by my own experience of life. I knew I was different. In 1958, at age 6, I woke up one night to a deafening silence and spotlights searching my room. This experience set me on a path of life unlike the average child. These experiences with the paranormal, UFOs, and more continued to this day. In 1987, my late wife brought me Whitley Strieber's Communion, which for me connected all the dots. I realized that I was not alone with this experience. This led to using my artistic skills to make art and film about this life experience. In 1994, I met and became friends with Whitley Strieber. I later met Yvonne Smith, Roger Lear, and many other people in the community, which led to television programs, magazines, and more. My work was suddenly everywhere, and I worked for many popular TV series during that time. I worked on many movies from Star Trek to Ghostbusters. But all this nearly ended my film career. It wouldn't be long before I was stalked, warned, and threatened by the intelligence community. One day, I got a call from the film studios I worked for. They had been visited by agents that told the producers it wasn't in their best interest to continue working with me because I was in trouble with the law. Under the threat of being left by my late wife, I quit the UFO community in 2000. It would not be until 2017 I would make my first film on this subject and burst back into the scene. It was called But Something Is There, and it told much of my life story and experiences. In 2023, Mary Catrapalia had the concept of making a channel that would allow people that have these experiences to come forward in safety and respect. This is something not often afforded by mainstream media. They tell their stories directly to you without a host or a narrator guiding the narrative. We are breaking the silence. And so we are. And welcome back to Breaking the Silence and our community chat.
Boy, we have some people to bring on.
We do. This week, for me, has been very interesting. We can get into that once we all start talking, if I get a chance.
Okay, let me
But
bring them on.
yeah, things have been
Okay.
difficult with the visitors, to say the least.
Hey, Dr. Gail
Hey, everybody.
and Ben. Yay. Hi.
Hey, Benno.
And Rachel and Jim.
Somebody's cat.
That's my cat.
Joe,
Hey, Joe.
Jeff, Anne,
Jeff. Great to
Steve,
see you.
Mary,
James.
Oh my God. Thank you, Alchemist. Thank you very much. We have getting started. And look,
So let me see if I
it's
can make these
James
all big.
Benjamin Pike,
Look
from
at
very
that.
south.
That works.
Wow. And Anne, and of
So I
course,
guess we're
you
going to
can't
have to be
forget Jim.
moderating this many people. So good to see you
Jim.
all.
Yeah, it really
Hi,
is. It's
good to
amazing.
see you.
What a crew. So,
So let's start with Dr. Gale. What have you been up to?
Um, go ahead. I'm sorry, I misheard it. Go ahead.
Well, you're hearing my cat in the background. She's wanting to go outside. That's my cat you're hearing. Um, what have I been up to? Just the same things. I'm trying to write my book, coming to the end of it finally, but this is my 5th time rewriting it. And so I've been working really hard on that. And of course, I have my YouTube channel, which I'm doing a lot with that. And I'm developing a color therapy course that's on the channel that I'll be doing tomorrow. And
excuse me.
those are the things that I'm doing about, writing about my experiences.
Terrific. Okay. And we have Ben from Down Under. I am so happy to have you here. Can you hear us?
Good day, mate.
I think you need to put your mic on. Okay. You don't seem to be muted. Okay, we'll let you figure it out. Hey, Rachel.
Hi,
Good to see you here. We're used to seeing you in
Hi,
the
Rachel.
Zoom.
hi. I'm very excited to be here.
Can you tell everybody who you are? We know who you
Okay.
are.
Well, I don't know. I'm Rachel. I'm an experiencer. I've had
And you're from down
experiences.
south?
Yes, I'm down south. It's almost 90 something degrees already.
Oh my.
Um, and I've had experiences for most of my life. So, yeah.
Right. So good to see you.
You
Thank
guys are
you.
all making my nose run. There's just
Oh
far too many
dear.
experiences here. It
Hey,
happens every time.
James.
I have one guest and it runs a little bit. I have
Hey, how
all
are
you
you?
guys and it won't stop. It's like a fountain. So I'm
Hey,
turning off
James,
my mic.
introduce yourself.
Hey, my name's James Pike. I'm a UAP experiencer, and I make a lot of UFO art, and I've been working on a memoir for 5 years. And yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Great. Hi, Rachel. I I mean, Anne, I'm not used to having this many people. Anne,
Hi,
welcome.
hi.
You're
Thank
from
you.
Arkansas.
Yes, thanks.
How are you this evening?
I'm doing fine. Thanks. Thanks for having me. I'm very much looking forward to hearing about everybody's experiences.
Great. Okay, Jeff. Hi, good
yeah.
evening.
Hi. Yeah, how's everyone doing? My name is Jeff Selver, and I speak publicly about my contact, and yeah, I have a YouTube channel and keep putting out cool videos about my contact and continued relations with UAP and the things that they tell me. So yeah, things are great.
Terrific. Joe, your turn.
Hi, there are several faces here I don't recognize. Hi, Steve. Uh, my
Hi,
name is
Joe.
Stillwell. I live in Southern California. Um, oops, wrong way. This fellow right next to me is an old friend of mine. I had some experiences, some really dramatic experiences in 2011. And I ended up being directed to a group called the Close Encounters Resource Organization, run by a hypnotherapist named Yvonne Smith. I went to meetings with that group over a period of about 10 years. And during that period of time, I met this gentleman this man next to me, Jim Lowe, who is also an experiencer. He lives quite a distance from me, though, but he's also in Southern California. I have written a book about my experiences, and I continue to have periodic anomalous things happen in my home here in Southern California.
Great. Jim? You're on, Jim. I can't.
There's
I
his
need your mic is off. It's still off.
Sorry,
There we go.
I
There you
wouldn't
are.
interrupt. My fault. Yeah, I live in San Diego County and been a lifelong experiencer. Met Joe at Sarah. We joined probably about the same time. But right now, just working with a group of lawyers. So we're trying to represent whistleblowers and do FOIA cases and more of the litigation end of it. And so we're working with a couple of submitters right now to, craft them properly and just work that out. I wrote I guess it was a book, but I never really marketed it. The UFO Briefing book, Congressional Guide to the UAP Phenomena, that was sent to them before the first UAP Task Force report went to the Senate. And it sort of talked about what they needed to do. And being a government nerd, I practiced government law all my life. Started doing that and just having weird experiences that none of my clients would believe.
So, Jim,
Yes.
tell me, what did you think of Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp's latest whistleblower? I'm assuming you watched the 3 parts.
Yeah, actually, I very seldom watch. I watch your stuff, but I very seldom watch a lot of it because, it's the parade of the day usually.
Yeah.
And, then later on, people move on to something else. But as a lawyer who put people on the witness stand, he came off pretty rational.
Yeah,
And,
he was scared to death.
yeah,
He looked
I
very
mean, you
scared.
being a lawyer, to watch for the facial expressions and body language that he had. He was on the edge of emotional let go several times, and plus his upper lip and lower lip and jaw were quivering very hard. This is hard to do I'm not saying you can't do it as an actor, but I worked with actors all my life, a Hollywood career, and I know when someone is on the level, and he was on the level.
Yeah, he came off as if he knew what he was talking about. The third episode was mostly about his opinions, and frankly, no offense to him, he seemed highly educated. I would probably listen to this group much quicker than I would anyone who's seen a few documents and knows a
That's
little
true.
bit.
Hi, Shelby.
Yeah.
I think experiences are where you're going to learn. Really,
Yeah, that's true.
in HI, I always get there are too many acronyms. I'm getting too old. They're all.
If I may, I want to share something with you all that happened yesterday. And we were getting ready to come to the studio, and I went out into the backyard, and I looked up and I went, okay, Mary, you need to come see this. And what I was seeing was an airliner at about 35,000 feet doing probably,
Oh, this was
400
on the
knots
way
or so.
to the studio.
Yeah, we're in the
Yeah.
backyard. And it was, you could see the airliner and you could actually see the plane. It was very high up, but you could tell that's what it was. But adjacent to it were 4 other objects with contrails that were considerably higher. I mean, like double the altitude. And
They were
at that
going crazy
altitude,
fast.
at that altitude, they were moving very fast. And now, you guys all know I know my aviation and my aircraft. These things were moving. They had to be doing 4,000 miles an hour. It might have even been faster. And so I ran into the house real quick, and I got my special Celestron binoculars. That was the closest thing I could grab. We have other stuff, which they're very powerful. They're not your average binoculars. And I looked, and I'm looking right at the contrail where it begins, and there was nothing there. And then Mary said, "You need to look ahead of it. Look ahead, see if you see anything." Took me a while, but
Now you have
about
to hold the binoculars in front and then let them come into
yeah, but
the
about 3
view.
miles ahead of where the contrail was beginning were the aircraft, and they were triangles. They were big triangles, not delta wings. They were full-on triangle-shaped aircraft. They weren't black. There was some reflection coming off of them. They were definitely jet powered. You could hear the engines eventually because they're moving so fast. It's by the time they were almost clear across the sky, then we heard the sound of the engines. They were outrunning their contrail. And they had to be at about 60,000 feet, maybe even higher. Now, these obviously are our aircraft,
Mhm.
and it just goes to show you how much stuff we have that they're not coming clean with us about. I mean, I had never seen these type of aircraft before. I knew they were developing triangle flying shaped drones and other types of aircraft, but I think these were manned, and they were in formation, and the speed was breathtaking for something that was ours. I mean, it wasn't like zipping across the sky in a second, but it was moving well above 4,000 miles an hour, I would estimate, maybe even faster than that. And the
And this
fact
was
that they were
broad.
so
This was
high,
broad. In the middle,
you
it
couldn't
was like
see them
11
without a very,
o'clock.
yeah. The fact that they were so high, if you've been just on a walk looking up, which 98.999% of our population never does, is look up. If they saw it, they just say, "Oh, there's some contrails." I mean, they wouldn't be able to see anything. It's clearly out of the range of the public, the average public. So obviously, they were secret aircraft we have that it's not being shared with us. But I just being an aviator and being so caught up in aviation and aircraft, I was just blown away to see something live in person that I've never seen in our inventory.
Now,
And they were
James,
triangles, not wings, triangles.
James, I know you see a lot of things at night. Do you ever see things during the day too?
Yes, yes. My most recent strange thing was just after dark along a flight path that rarely gets used. I live in the mountains in eastern San Diego County. And so this is coming along this flight path, but it was red lights on each side, but there was like a bar of blue light that as far away as it was, it had to be, like 50 feet long and, 5-10 feet wide. And I've never seen a plane with a cobalt blue uh, kind of lighting on it. And as it got closer, every time I'd look away for a second, just a split second, it it kept lowering itself where it was like, you know, instead of vertical, it was horizontal, and I could see underneath it. And this whole blue light went along it. And um, so I called my wife to come out and look, and she didn't. Oh, I'm watching TV. No. And, so I look back and it starts looking more like a traditional airplane. And then it looked like I called her again to come out because there's still this blue streak on the bottom of it. And by the time she came out, I could hear jet engine noise. And it looked like a regular jet, except it was a commercial passenger jet flying into like flying along a flight path for a local airport that was too small to have it land. And so I don't know what I saw. It was during all the drone stuff.
Anybody else? James
Well, I
Pike?
have had an experience walking with my husband in the mornings at a park. I
Oh.
keep hearing an airplane, and I look around. Usually you look up in the sky and you'll see a biplane or something, and I don't see anything. I hear the sound, I hear the engine, but I don't see it, and I look all over. So
Hmm.
I find that strange.
Anyone else?
Um, I was on a flight a couple months ago. I think it was like in December, and I was flying from Phoenix to Santa Barbara, and I looked down and I saw what looked like a disc with a black edge and a bubble, and I went to grab my phone, and then I thought I missed it, but then I went back later and I actually got it, and I think it's
Wow.
the new stealth aircraft that I saw. It's on the billboard out there in Palmdale. I forget what the name of it is, but there's a billboard that says the future is now or something like that. But it looked like a flying saucer, and it was in a saucer shape, and it had a little bubble, and it had a black outline, and had some other airplanes that were flying alongside of it. And when I went to go do an airplane radar check to see how close other airplanes were to me, there was nothing underneath the airline, even though I had visual footage and confirmation of it. As far as the drones are concerned, I have a friend that lives in Carpinteria, and we've been drone hunting since it started in, I think, like the 20th of December here in Santa Barbara. And it's definitely slowed down significantly, like just not seeing them as much as we were. But I am seeing really high flyovers really late at night of objects really, really high up, moving really, really fast. But I haven't seen the triangles that Steve described.
Hmm. So I have a weird thing with the drones. So I'm up here in Canada, and so for before they got talked about in the news, which was roughly around December, early December, I'd been experiencing uh, my entity. So the way I frame it is that I have, you know, contact, right, and I've had that childhood contact and that teenage contact, and then to this day, I still have that telepathy with that entity, and I can call her. And now this is all becoming normal with the Jake Barber stuff, and so that was all normal for me actually. And I have videos of this stuff on my website. And she changed her form at some point last year before all the drone stuff started, and she turned into a plane. And so she was a black plane, and the lights were irregular. I have a radar app as well too, and so I can check to confirm that this is not an object caught on radar, and that was normal for me. And then all the drone stuff started in the States, and I started recognizing the similarities. And so I put a video about that on my YouTube channel, and I called her. I actually got a new phone with brilliant new camera, and I actually asked if she would come out, and she did, and she came out as this plane form. And so I got her all on film with it. But what was the coolest part was I'm on the film, and I'm saying, hi, hi, say hi to everybody. I'm telling the drone to say hi to everybody. And then these paranormal flashes start going off in the sky. And like the sparkles, I don't really have an answer for what I call it paranormal because I'm convinced it's consciousness. But and they started going off, and I caught them on camera. So those drones, the ones that I'm interacting with, were non-human intelligence, 100%. And I don't understand the states fully. I know that the government does have some weird things, but yeah, I definitely experienced non-human intelligence as those drones. So yeah, interesting.
We have a question here from Wayne Mansfield. Hi, all. Does anyone know how the small electric, thank you, beings are? You know, it's interesting that he would bring this up because we have been seeing, ever since this friend of ours is coming to our house, we've been seeing
Oh, yeah.
these bright electric white blue small, I guess you call them orbs, flying through the house and disappearing into the couch. And I saw another one out of my peripheral vision last night. I've seen them in the bathroom, and I didn't see stuff like that in the house at all before, but they are that color, and there's lots of other people seeing them, and I don't know what they are. But if I had to guess, I
They
would
what they
say
look
that
like is they're like
they're tiny. They're like little
if anybody
Tinkerbells.
yeah, like little Tinkerbell fairies. They're real tiny and they just go off. It's really something.
It is, and they've been prolific. I've been hearing a lot of other people talk about them, and we don't know what they are, but I would surmise that they're related to our experience, or we wouldn't be seeing them, or maybe they're attracted to us. Maybe they're souls or entities. It's all up for grabs because we don't really know. We do see them,
Well, can I ask a question?
Why not?
absolutely.
Well, I want to know if anybody here, because I recall a lot of things I'm doing. I've worked on 4 different spaceships. I recall the kind of work I do. And I'm wondering if anybody else out here, because I can describe what I do, experiences I have. And I know I'm not the only one that remembers these things in such detail. And I was just wondering if anybody else is those kind of experiences.
I do know of someone, and she's in the Ciro group, and I don't know. I don't think she's public. We'll just call her Barbara for now. Um, she used to live out here. She moved to Germany years ago. She's in her 80s, and I had a 2-hour conversation with her. Um, Yvonne hooked me up with her, and she does what you do. And
Oh, okay.
she's very matter of fact about it, and just speaks straight out. She's very very cognizant, and has her uh, she's very together, and she's the lights are on in everybody's home, and she does. And I've heard this before as well. Um,
I mean,
it's
my latest one,
Go
I mean,
ahead.
and I'm just remembering it when I was on my show the other day about working on the Athena, which I am a medical officer. Most of the things I'm dealing with are medical, and realizing the process that you go through. We were working on a lot of soldiers, or a lot of traumas and things like that. Um, they come into a room and they decide if they want to stay in this lifetime or go to a different lifetime or take on another body, another planet, whatever. And if they decide that they want to
That's
stay,
common.
if they want to stay in their body, then they move to another room, which is the room I work in a lot. And it's which we see this where there are tanks and cloning centers. And so they sit in their tanks and their souls leave their body, and we can rehab their body if they want to keep that body, or we can clone their body. So I'm remembering all these kind of things that I've been involved in. And so I was just curious if other people are remembering these kind of things that
Well,
they're actually
it's
working.
interesting too, Dr. Gale, that in reading books on near-death experiences and also people that are channeled who have passed on, you will hear much of the same dialogue you're talking about, and the same references, and the same um, procedures when it comes to us finally leaving our bodies, because these bodies are just machines, biological machines we inhabit. And what I know how it works with the grays is that um, if their bodies get damaged, or they get old, they can move to another body, and they have full memory of who they were before. It's only
Actually,
the process that we go through returning to Earth that our memories, they're not wiped out, but they're put in suspension, I believe.
right. These are humans that I'm usually working on. And part of the thing that I'm involved in is they're freaking out because their soul has left their body. And I'm having to go in and console them and explain what's happening and that they'll eventually be able to get to their body. So I am involved in doing all those kind of things, explaining these things and helping people through the emotional side of it. And also the children that come in there that have been in traumas, we're changing their brain waves so they don't feel the trauma like we do. They remember it, but they're not going to physically experience the trauma like we do. So I have all those kind of memories, and that's just a fraction of the things I've
Well,
done.
this sounds so familiar because I've been so involved lately in near death experience studies, um,
Yeah,
and
you've
the
told me about
telepathy.
that, and I've stayed away from it. I don't want anybody else's
No,
information.
no, no, no. But I would highly recommend you read Simon's book about near-death experiences, the one we did a show on, because you will see yourself in there. That there are people there that do exactly what you're talking about, and this is starting to make me think. Well, maybe you don't have to be passed on to do this. You see what I'm getting at?
Right, right. No, I'm not passed on. I'm over there. I mean, because
No, no, you're very much here on the planet still, but
you get
I'm
in
saying you
conversations, and
don't have to be dead in order to help people who are traumatized when they die and they don't understand what's going on.
yeah, yeah, it's very
Bi-
interesting work.
Bilocation is a
Yeah,
part of it too. Like
what's
when
that?
you're pulled out of your body, the entities I know they can control. I don't know if they control it, but we might do it naturally in their state. But we bilocate, so then we reform our body in their astral dimension, and so you
Right,
still walk around like you're a normal body. But
Yeah,
all you're actually your other body's in stasis while you're now walking around like you have a body.
but you
right,
look down and you see your body.
Yeah, you're
right.
wearing
Sometimes, not
clothes.
always.
Yeah, you're
Well,
wearing
well,
clothes
Yeah.
and everything. Yeah,
Or you're glowing ball of light,
well,
or
I
there's
know.
So
that.
you
Yeah.
can imagine going, you're alive and then you die and then suddenly you're this glowing ball of light, or and it's I can see why and there always is in everything I study. There's always someone there to help them,
Yeah,
to
but I
guide
don't
them,
have to be
always.
asleep or meditating anymore. I can step into that and stay in this world. I can go right back and forth extremely easily.
Cool.
As I said, I've worked on 4 different spaceships now with different roles on them that I'm very cognizant of. That, of course, that I've written. Well, I've only written a little portion. The book I'm working on now is just a little portion of what I've done. But I would just like to meet some other people who are having the same kind of experiences, that are so aware of what's happening and what they're doing.
Dr. Gale, I know someone also who is doing that. And so if you would like, I can give you his information.
Oh, that'd be great.
Sure.
Yes, you do, Anne.
Yes. Mhm. He
And
he
how is
works
he?
on a ship, yes. And he would very much like to meet someone else that has that kind of experience.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great. I'd like to talk to
And we
somebody.
haven't heard
A
we
friend of mine.
haven't heard about your friend in a while, Anne. How is he doing?
He's doing well. He What he experiences is like with Dr. Gale, that he has uh, a job, a task on a ship that he says is circling the earth, and that he can go there at will anytime he wants, which seems to be what you're saying, Dr. Gale.
I can
His
go.
job, he has a specific job, which is trying to lessen the effects of some earth changes,
Oh, okay.
especially hurricanes, volcanoes, things like that. When there are things that are occurring, he has a task of trying to what's the word, lessen or ameliorate those things. And he says that he has
Ah.
quarters there on the
Yeah,
ship.
Gosh, like
you,
mine's
I
medical.
know what Mary's thinking about. She's thinking about recently scientists have reported that the temperature of our ocean's water, which is
Mhm.
very high, has dramatically dropped all of a sudden, and they have no explanation for it.
They have no
That's
explanation.
interesting.
Yeah,
So
That's
well, it
maybe
should keep the hurricane season from
maybe
being
his
so
job's working.
traumatizing.
interesting. Well, I know he certainly tries. And one
Well,
other thing while I'm
it's
thinking
working.
of it, Steve, is that, are you familiar with the concept of the blue pearl?
No.
No,
The soul is considered to be encapsulated in a very small blue-white dot, and it
like
is
that.
referred to as the blue pearl. So it could be that that is what you're seeing.
Yeah, well, I saw this, and this was a soul being put into
Uh,
the body of a woman in her sleep
yeah. Uh-huh.
that would be born on Earth. And this is, I'm talking to, what happened? I'm That's interesting. There we go. I'm talking to Susie Hansen right now, And I'm also reading her book, and Bob and Marilyn Solis both highly recommended after a dinner we had together that I read it. And I see why now that I'm deeply into the book. And so I contacted her. We're going to have a nice talk on Zoom Tuesday. But there's so much of the same things in that book. And this experience is really evolving away from the nuts and bolts. At least it is for me and a lot of other people. And there's that.
Oh,
There you
aha.
are.
Look
And
at that.
Susie,
I just reached over and grabbed it
yeah,
for
Yeah,
her.
yeah.
Susie co-wrote my book. Susie
There's
Hansen co-wrote my
so
book.
many
Wow.
synchronicities,
Cool, Jeff.
and
Yeah,
we are told by the gifted telepathic children that we really need to pay attention to the synchronicities, and the synchronicities in that book so far have been astounding. I mean, I keep thinking, what's next? Oh, you cheated death 5 times. So did I. And then she goes on to talk about experiencers often will claim that they have cheated death, that they have been in situations they should not have
right.
lived through and did. Um, and so on and so forth. So I'm really looking forward to having her on our show, and also doing some visualizations of what she experienced.
It's awesome.
That's exciting. Are you familiar with her besides Jim Lowe here?
Oh, she co-wrote
Susie?
my book. Susie, so my
Oh,
book,
did she? So you
yeah,
know
The
her.
Rising.
Okay.
Yeah, she spent like a whole year with me. Yeah, and
Oh, wow.
she is awesome.
Yeah,
And
she is.
we share also similar experiences, and we've been to similar rooms in the crafts, and then we can talk about those things. And
Can I ask you,
yeah,
when you saw her picture as a young woman in her 20s, did you find her familiar?
honestly, not fully, no,
Well,
but
when I saw her picture
yeah.
in the book,
Oh,
it
interesting.
literally haunted me.
Because that picture, what year do you think? What year was that? I know that picture you're referring to, actually.
She was
Yeah.
20 years old. She's 3 years younger than me. So,
Oh, interesting. So you think you saw her in Craft or something, eh?
well,
Yeah. Yeah.
or someplace. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't always know that it's a ship or a
Yeah.
spacecraft.
Right.
So many times there's a dark circle in the sky and a light comes through it, and the next thing I know, I'm in some other location. Now,
Right.
maybe it's a craft, but I
Right.
can't be sure because it's
Right.
so large and there's so many rooms and there's so much going on. And sometimes it's the surface of another world,
Right.
it seems. And I do know I've been inside those chrome cylinders with the little windows on the sides. More than once, and those are craft, but the other stuff I just don't know. I know I'm someplace, that's for sure. Like the night of the Coronado mass abduction, which Vaughn, by the way, the book's coming back out again and has a new cover on, done by yours truly. My name is being used for the first time because it was covered up before because my late wife was against my name being brought up in the book, and it's all about the Coronado. And that was a mind-boggling experience. It really was.
Yeah. Susie's husband did art for my book as well too. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So Thomas Hansen. Yeah. It's and he does the art for her book. So yeah.
Did he do her cover as well?
No, she told me that someone else did it for her, not Thomas Hansen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't recall.
I've done a couple of book covers just recently, and both of them are due out soon. So,
Steve, I'm really excited you're getting to know Susie. I think it's such a good circle.
Well, obviously it's meant to happen, right?
Yeah, you got it.
Again,
we're all part of the same community. Yeah, it's great.
Well, I'm talking to Bob and Marilyn. We just had dinner, and we're sitting on the couch, and we're talking about this stuff, and I'm talking about, my evolution with this experience, and especially as of more recently, and how it's become so about consciousness and the conscious universe and all this kind of stuff. And Bob just would say, read Susie's book. And then Marilyn would say, you got to read Susie's book. So the next day, Mary ordered it for me. And, I look forward to reading a few more chapters tonight, because it's something I really look forward to.
Yeah.
So many, though, of the same things have happened to all of us, rather identically. So, anyway, Who
Well, stay
else
away
has
from
something?
me when you talk to her.
Oh, I will. I will. And
I don't have the
if you
same kind
haven't
of
read her book,
knowledge as Jeff, but
if you haven't read her book, I'd recommend you read it.
very much. I've read it 5-6 times.
Wow,
Wow.
5-6 times.
Yes.
You know, when I finished Whitley's The Fourth Mine, I had to go back and reread the last 3 paragraphs. They were so beautiful. They just literally moved me to tears. What he said in conclusion in that book, and how he talked about where he was as he wrote the last words. And it just
Very
summed it up. It was worth the whole book, just to get there. And knowing him like I do, I know what he was feeling at the moment he was writing that.
Mm.
That was really something very powerful. And of course, we're on the same page about all this. This is not angels. This is not demons. This is really not about aliens from another planet called Zeta Reticula and metal ships. It's so much deeper than that, and it's something that really defines the title of the first book, Communion, because it is a communion, definitely. And that we have something to offer them, and they have something to offer us.
That's true.
Benno, I think your microphone is working now.
Is it?
Ben?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh my God, there's his voice.
Hello.
Oh,
Hello.
boy. Hi, Ben.
G'day, I'm Benno from Oz.
Good day.
Yeah, great
Hi,
artist.
Mary. Hi, Steve. Hi, everyone. I feel so privileged to be here with you today.
Who's so excited to have you here, right? Because you said that you wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, I think I've been building up to it for a while. You just got to be careful when you work for any government type
Right.
organization,
Well, you're in the future, but anyway. It's because it's the next day, and it hasn't happened yet.
Totally. I love that. Yeah, well, yeah. So, hi everyone. This is my face and my voice, and yeah, I live in Australia. I think when I first,
really,
yeah. But yeah, I've just been working through the, the grief process with Earl passing, and I had that experience the other night that I put on the forum. I added a picture I tried to make for
I
it,
saw that.
and yeah, it was sort of like the end of the grieving process of a great loss to the BTS community. So that's
He's
sort of
brought many people together.
yeah. I
I
think
really
probably
appreciate you using the forum. I wish more people would. So
yeah. I've put a lot of art on there. I know James, you create your art. I love your art. It reminds me a little bit of some of the Aboriginal type stuff. But yeah, if you want to, there's so much stuff on there, not just from everybody. Rachel and
database.
yeah, you've got to join up because I look at all these other sites. I watch the latest videos with Ross Coulthard and all the others and what have you. But as you say, Steve, we are disclosure. Like I don't think the official disclosure's been tried many times. People like Jim doing all the background information in the positions that they can to get it out. But in the end, I think, it's whether we believe they're here, whoever they are, whatever they are. But we've had experiences that are real to us, and we don't need anyone else's validation that was real to us.
That's right.
Yeah,
Well,
and we
that's
continue to
absolutely-
be ignored, unfortunately. And it's not for the lack of even George Knapp and Gary Nolan saying you really need to let these people have their day,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
they're not going there, and it's unfortunate. But
I
we're doing it without them, so we're continuing on.
I just
Yes,
finished Valet's book Dimensions, and
Oh, yeah.
Very
it's a brilliant book. And at the end, he says not to listen to contactees. And
Really?
yeah,
That's
and I
quite
was like,
contrary to what he
to my
told me back in the 90s when I spent time with him on a.
I don't doubt that. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I was like, that's maybe where they're getting it from, because yeah, there's a wall. There's a definite wall,
Oh,
and
that's such a surprise.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, I thought so too. I was actually a bit stunned by it and took a picture of it and everything. Yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
You
he's
realize you realize the people that are saying this, no matter who they are the people who don't have this experience.
That's at the core of it, and then
Mhm.
and it's the grand human problem, is that we're interpreting it through they think they're being objective, but
No.
then they're like actually ignoring half of the data. It's a
Yes, they are.
strange approach, and instead of finding a way to take the data and then work with it, they just decide to we'll eradicate that set of data so then we can focus on just nuts and bolts
No,
concepts.
they take it off
Yeah.
the table, to quote Gary
Yeah.
Nolan. He says you don't take things off the table because
Yeah.
you do, you can't go back to them. And he's being ignored for the most part too. And he's
Yeah.
got quite an attitude about it, which I'm glad he has.
I have a question, Bino. Have you heard of Mary Rodwell?
No.
I saw a YouTube episode with her today. I didn't know about her, but I think she's in Australia.
Yeah, I think I've seen a couple of videos with
Queensland.
her. Yeah.
There's a lot going on down there and New Zealand. I mean, and I really got that sense reading Susie's book that there's this whole world like we have here in the States, in the UK, where there's so many groups and so many people investigating this, and there are people who personally have the experiences, and they've come together and they've formed communities and done all these things.
Yeah, but you mean
But you
down
don't hear
under,
much
not the
about it from Australia and New Zealand. And I would certainly
right.
like to connect
Yeah.
more with those people because we're all connected.
I know from the chats, because I've got into that and enjoyed that. Meeting lots of people. There's a few people from New Zealand that have seen USOs quite regularly coming up out of the water and
Wow.
flying across certain regions. I know that just the other day, Flea, one of our members here, has been filming some orange orbs and started posting videos on YouTube. So there's
Are they
so much
still up?
activity. I
Are they-
believe so.
Yeah,
I
because
believe
there's been a movement lately to take down people's sites and videos and other things, which is
Yeah, well,
shameful.
look what
but
happened to
there it
ours.
is.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah. But we have a new one, and we're just
Oh.
getting it together. It's the um, breakingthesilenceproject.com, and we're just putting stuff up now.
Yeah, this site's totally under our control. We pay for it. I've been using WordPress for years. I have a website that I've had since 2004. I still have it, and I've never had a problem with them. So it's hopeful this will
And I'm
help us.
hoping to get James Pike and your Benno's art there too, because it'd be really nice to have experience
Yeah,
art
we need more
up on the net.
art. I mean, there are many people out there have been doing art on this subject, and not just always for the pleasure of it, because they want to share what they experienced in the best way they can. And I have here, some of you've seen this before, but there was a short piece done about the communion letters and their being at Rice University. And those communion letters were also accompanied by a lot of, I'm looking for it now, Mary,
I'm jumping the gun.
drawings. And here it is. Okay.
Okay.
And so I'm watching the video, and I've already talked to Whitley. And he says, that you have to go there to see them, and we can't share them in a publication because there's copyright issues and other things. And so I was able, since the show that I was watching was high resolution enough, you can see where I stopped it, and you can actually zoom in on this and almost read what's on the pages. But look at the drawings there. And it's easy to think that, well, lots of people have been drawing things like this. This is 1988, 89, and 90 that people were writing in to Whitley and Ann and putting in their drawings and their artworks with the descriptions of what happened to them and then eventually that became the communion letters. It's really something to look at. So there's a lot of people out there that are doing art like this. I would love to have them come forward and be able to put this artwork in a database on this new website we're making so that people can see it. And not be cut off from it because it's at Rice University and it can't be shared with the rest of the public, not unless you go there and research it. So it's there to research. I get that, but not all of us can get there. So if you do have artwork and you know people have artwork on the subject, we need to populate a database of it. I think could be very, very important. So am I going to talk now about what happened with me? I guess.
Please do.
It's short. It's long and it's short. It's long because it's still lasting right now. So I counted the days. For 9 days, I was waking up every morning feeling very bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, getting through my day, going, wow, I don't feel like death warmed over in the mornings. So what the hell happened? I feel fine. And I would remember a little bit about my dreams, but not much. And so nothing dramatic was happening, at night. And it just felt great. Well, that all stopped last night. And before we went to bed, Mary was already in bed, and I was battening down the hatches in the house and making sure certain lights were off. And
I don't like that term of language, batting down the hatches after what happened last year.
And then, but I was painfully aware that there was this low frequency, I guess you could call it a vibration. I thought it was a sound, but maybe it wasn't a sound, but it was a humming that was just like going through me and through the house. It was subtle, but it was powerful. And if I went outside, you didn't hear it that well. Go back in the house, you could hear it very well. And I knew there were other sounds and things going on in the house, and I knew I was in for it. What's going on, Mary? Somebody's mic's on.
Yeah.
While they're building a large wooden badger. So I went to bed and I could hear it, and there. Oh yes, and there was. We don't get helicopters flying around.
James, okay, I'll do it. No, he is. James is muted.
So we don't usually get helicopters flying around. We get fighter jets because we're near Point Mugu and we're right next to the military base, Fort Wayne Amy, and we don't get a lot of helicopters. And in fact, I don't think our town even has a police helicopter. And the helicopter that was up that I saw was very bright and not that loud. And it's circling around our house, not close, but at a distance. And this hum was going on, this vibration. And you could feel it in your gut. And it's saying, there's just something odd here. There's just something not right. So I'll make this story short. I wake up today and I just feel like death warmed over. That's when I know something happened. Something really happened. And it was really strong. And my eyes are bothering me. Everything is bothering me. I mean, I feel tired. I just have all the symptoms of having had something done again, or I've been taken, or I went somewhere. Probably I was left my body, because one of the things when you get to be older is when you're taken out of your body and then you're out of it for a long time and you're put back in it, it takes some readjustment. It's old, it's sore, it's got aches and pains, and you feel it all. And it really weighs you down. It feels like suddenly you've taken on the gravity of Jupiter. And your mind's not that clear. And I know there's something in me that's going to come out. And I don't know what it is, but that's what usually happens. I don't remember anything. A lot of times I do, but this time, no. Whatever it was important enough that I have no memory currently of what happened. But I can tell you something did. And I'm just hoping tonight I get to sleep, because for those 9 days were amazing. I just, it's like, I guess I got a break for a while. Okay, he's rested up now. Let's go back into this. I'm sure it's all very important, and it's all with the best intentions, but it becomes physically and mentally challenging to have these experiences, as you all well know. I'm done. I got off my chest. I feel better now. Sleep well tonight, you guys.
Thank you for sharing.
No, but that's what happened.
Yeah.
Benno, your mic's off again.
Sorry, guys. Is it on
There
again?
you go.
That's good.
Do you want me to tell the story of what happened
Yes.
to me Mother's Day Eve?
Yes.
Oh.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike.
Oh, Benno is having the mic problems. Yeah. Your mic, we can't hear you anymore.
It's got to be aliens. Where's Giorgio when we need him?
Mhm.
I got to get his picture to put up when this happens.
Okay.
Must be aliens.
Just try to unplug and plug back in. Oh,
Nope.
nope.
Now you're muted.
Is he muted? I don't see him mute
No,
there.
he's not muted. He just is, his
Hello?
mic isn't working. There you are. Go for it. Story time.
I'm here. I'm here.
You're there.
Yeah.
Okay, so
In the future.
I normally sort of in the lounge room with the big TV, and I watch,
Oops.
you know,
Oh no.
Oh.
Bollocks.
Nope.
I don't understand what's going on. How could it be working and suddenly just
I don't know.
is it a bad cable or something that's intermittent?
Oh God. I don't know.
Can I speak up just for a moment?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Ann Carter, I recognize your name from when I was on Breaking the Silence. You were in the comments section commenting on the story. Where are you located in the United States?
I live in the Ozark Mountains in northwest Arkansas.
Okay. And have your experiences through time all occurred in that area?
Mostly because I have lived here quite a lot, but also in upstate New York, there have been experiences there.
Okay. All right. And if I can continue, Rachel, hi.
Hi.
The state where you live, I'm assuming most of your experiences have occurred in that area where you're living?
All of them.
Okay.
I live in Louisiana.
All right. Okay. That was my curiosity. I just wanted to see how widespread this group was and the
Yeah.
experiences.
It's called global.
Yeah, it is.
We have people
Yeah.
that are in the chat section and that come on from all corners.
Yeah.
Oh, I have her book cover right here. This is
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there's Susie's. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. It's a great cover. It really is. I mean, usually people put grays on their covers and stuff, but you have to really look at it to realize what's going on there. And
Rudy
connect.
Rudy Schilt's contribution to her book is phenomenal. So he's an astrophysicist, and he provides notes and comments against her about her contact events during the reading of the book, and it is just a brilliant. His application it helped me understand aspects of my own contact events.
She has not had enough exposure because I didn't know about her until Bob Solis recommended I read a book. And Whitley, I was talking to Whitley, and he said he's never heard of her before. And I sent him the information. I said, well, you need to have her on Dreamland because
Yes.
she needs to get on as many shows as possible, especially the ones that are not into the Hollywood glitter and hype, so that she can reach the community, because that's what's really important. I don't I don't really care about what Neil Tyson or any of the what I mean, he's an analogy, but I don't care about even the serious sciences studying this phenomenon who discount us. I don't give a rat's rear end what they think about us or how they perceive us at all. You have to go past that and just keep pursuing what we're doing. And so if she gets on Dreamland, Whitley's very neutral. He doesn't cherry pick his guests. He doesn't take anything off the table. And there aren't a lot of us doing that. There really aren't. There's very popular uh, posts on YouTube, and one of them we recently got introduced to, and because of Whitley, is Chris Ramey with Area 52.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
so
I watched that
we
too.
He's
we
incredible.
watched him read the document about what was that document about, Mary? About the one that was the transcript about
The
that woman.
interrogation.
Yeah, they wrote that book, and about her recollections of Roswell and what was going on back then. And he did a beautiful job. And the things he had to say at the end, clearly he gets us, and he thinks it's very important. And it's very unusual for someone like him, who's very popular up in Montreal, uh, to have that attitude. Also, we had Whitley on. I haven't watched the one with Whitley yet, but more than one person told me Whitley talked about me on the show. He's very fair. He's very open-minded, and he really tells his audience to check your skepticism at the door, because it doesn't matter if the story is 100% true or not. It's just the information is so important, and it really does shape us, and at the very least it was a great story, you know but he's someone I would not overlook. Y Files, on the other hand, is very debunking, very sets you up for, wow, this is an amazing story, and then he turns right around at the end and debunks it. And I don't like that whole routine. He's just trying to get people sucked in and then do that. So
No, we're not going to talk about AJ.
yeah.
Can I add something?
So and
Mhm.
I feel safe bringing that up, because I doubt very much if he knows anything about this or cares. So because he rejects us as well. So
Yeah. Rachel, did you say something?
The telepathy tapes. I
Oh,
watched
yes.
the telepathy tapes, and the scientist who was doing the studying their brains of these autistic and nonverbal autistic kids. His name is Jeff Tarrant, and I recommend him. I've been reading a lot about him. I got one of his books, and in the book he talks about what actually happens with the brain waves, and he compares it to studies he's done on psychics and something else. But anyway, it's really interesting, and so I recommend finding out about him.
thank you.
Yeah.
The
Can you write
telepathy tapes are very important, and they directly relate to this experience in an amazing way.
Rachel, can you write his name in the chat?
Sure. And
Thanks.
yeah,
Or just
I
send
will.
us an email.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to say his book title. I don't know if that's.
No,
So I'll
just his name.
I'll put his name. Okay.
The interesting thing about this is that I'm sure that the people that are involved in this research and having their minds blown that these kids really are telepaths, and that they do see other beings besides human consciousness in these uh, telepathic states that they're in, not to mention the hill. I'm sure that these people doing this study are unaware how it relates to non-human intelligence studies. I don't think that's, and I don't know how to break it to them. I'm hoping that by accident they stumble over it, because it would be in a further expansion of what they're doing.
Mhm.
Joe Rogan, she was not the author, but yeah, I guess the author of the podcast itself. I can't remember her name. She was on Joe Rogan, and he actually broached that question. What do you think this is related to the the UFO phenomenon?
Oh, he did.
Yeah, and she no, not at all. Yeah, so
She's not
couldn't
there
make
yet.
that leap.
She's not there. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not there yet. Yeah.
but a lot of people in our community can't make the leap either. They still want it to be, it's an alien spaceship from this planet. It's come here to terrify me in the night, take me against my will, and do this to me,
Victim.
me. And it's all about them and their ego being bruised and stuff. And we have been so beat to death with the expansion of our egos to such a point that we're literally being blinded by it. We can't see that maybe there's another perspective to all this. Maybe it's all about intentions. And I've never felt in these experiences that, although unsettling they may be, the intentions were always the right intentions. And, being alive and being in this universe is not easy. Whole solar systems are destroyed by stars going nova every day. There's light, there's dark, there's all of it. And so with this experience, it's too easy to feel like something's being done against your will, and you hate it for it. And you should never hate anything. Maybe not dislike it, but not hate it. Hate's a very strong word.
Someone's phone.
So that's something that that we really have to get past. I have. I know their intentions, and it's for the best.
Yeah,
Did we
I totally agree with that.
did we get Ben's mic back yet?
Oh no.
Hello.
Oh, good.
Yeah, there you are.
I want to hear the story.
Before it goes off again, everybody be quiet. Let's listen to it.
Third time's a charm.
Don't say anything
anything.
important; it'll stop.
Okay, I'll try and make it quick. So I was just lying on the couch getting ready to go to sleep, stay up to about midnight, and I always watch, one of my shows, often to do with this sort of phenomenon. And I'm watching, and all of a sudden the recommendeds all changed, and every single video recommended, and there was about 4 that I could see in my field of vision, was one of Earl's videos, some of his music ones, some of his BTS ones. At that exact moment that I'd noticed that, it was like a force directed my head that way, and I looked from my lounge room to my front door, and from the top of the ceiling across the wall, almost on an angle coming into my dining room where I am now, was a blue-white light that sort of came in from nothing to getting larger and larger. It was moving across that way, and it became a diamond shape like that. And it was solid white surrounded by a blue haze, that blue light that we've all seen. And as it was traveling, it went from small to probably about that size, I would estimate. The light around it was falling off in chunks, almost like it was 3D shapes of light. Like it was, but it was light. I couldn't comprehend what I was seeing. And as quickly as it was there in the center almost of where my door was, and was in probably, the best focus to see the diamond shape, it did exactly the same thing as it did to appear. It got smaller and went to a point and disappeared. And it all happened within a second. So I saw my feed, my recommended. I got directed that way. and then this diamond thing, just like a comet, came out of nowhere, showed itself, and disappeared. I don't know what it was, but it felt like for me it was a sign from Earl. But again,
Oh,
Maybe it was Earl. I mean,
His
I mean,
spirit.
I couldn't tell you, but as I
Mm.
said to you,
That's awesome.
I'd been grieving him, and I'd done a poster for him that I put on BTS. I drew him. I did the Water Lantern Festival where I said "Rest in peace," and I put that in the lake, turned the light on, and released it. That was very cathartic. And for me, it was like the end of my grieving for him. And I
Aw.
just turned to the right and I went straight to sleep and had the best sleep possible.
Oh, he came to
Yeah.
visit.
yeah,
Oh, that's
It's
wonderful.
good sleep.
It's powerful.
yeah.
I love it.
I tried to render it on Photoshop, but I cannot replicate the three-dimensional light falling off it in little chunks. I tried and I just gave up. I said, this is about the size. This is what it kind of looked like. So if anyone's on the forum, check it out.
I will.
Awesome.
Sure
I would see
will.
that
That's
too.
great.
Yeah.
Yes, use the forum. Use it. That's how we made it. It's a free forum, and the nice thing about the forum is that you can't go in there and read anything in there. I mean, you have to be registered. So
It's very private.
it's private, and
Websites
we
look
haven't
at
got
the
any
private.
trolls at all. But they know if they go in there and try something, they're going to be out that airbox so quickly, gasping in the vacuum of space, and never come back. So.
Well, that's why we do the Zooms too, as far as
So,
privacy goes.
James, Pike, do you have anything to share with us?
I
Even
didn't wave because I wanted attention. My wife was waving at me through a window, dancing, and so I didn't mean to. I think she was messing with me.
That's good.
Yeah, I also been very sad about Earl. Um, you know, I remember before he knew Steve and Mary, I introduced him to Steve and Mary, and I was like, "You don't know these people already? Like, how is that
That's my
even
favorite.
possible?" And he's like, "No, James, I don't know these people." And I was like, "That's weird. Well, Danny just introduced me to these cool people in Ventura. You should go check it out." And he's like, "All right." And he was so stoked about having a video done about himself, and he was just like shining light. And if you look at his Facebook post or whatever after he passed away, like 10,000 comments or something like that, and growing of
Mm.
so many people out there pouring out their hearts to tragic loss. And yeah, I feel the same way. I did a little poem for him, and when he was dying at the hospital, I drove down with Danny and we hung out in front of the hospital, and we just kind of sat there and listened to music and talked about Earl, knowing that he was in there. And he did get a little better there for a second. And so we were really excited. And unfortunately, he passed away. And so, but he had so much work to do and so many podcasts to do and so much more investigations that, we're all just feeling that void that he left. But that means it was a life really well lived. When you leave a void like that, it's like, wow. And yeah, if it wasn't for him, I would have never gone public. I know that you know I didn't want to talk about my experiences for a really long time, kind of like Jack Valet, making that comment, "Don't believe contactees." I kind of understand what he's saying, because there's some crazy stuff out there. But Earl, when I talked to him, was so uh, such an amazing listener, which I'm sure everybody here, encountered that his listening skills. And we talked for 2.5 hours, and it was because of him that I came forward. It was, he gave me the opportunity to speak at one of his, MUFON meetings. And Yeah, he's one of those people that when I met him, I kind of didn't want to meet him in person because his voice was so ethereal. I felt like I met like Jean Bacard or something, like cross between like Jean Bacard and like Xavier from X-Men, and then I finally met him and I was like, oh, he's even cooler in real life. Like he's got the long hair and he's like into music and he's like, man. And I would say that one of the more special times too, Steve and Mary, is when we were all hanging out and we were all you guys were showing pictures of yourselves when you were younger. And, Earl showed us his picture and I was like, oh my God, were you like a male model or something? And he's like, yeah, I used to lift weights. And I was just like, dang, bro, you could have beat me up. And I was like, wow. I mean, I saw that picture and I thought to myself, I was like, Earl is so much cooler than I will ever be. Like, I could never in a million years, like, have a leather jacket on with no shirt, long hair, and like a black Corvette in the background. Unreal. He's like probably the nicest person I ever met. So,
Kindest.
Yeah, I'll
just,
second that.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. He was special.
yeah, his son was a couple years older than me, and so we would talk a lot. And he would be like, "James, I'm your space dad. I love you no matter what." And
Yeah.
just you kind of in my life, I haven't had a lot of dads, so I kind of like to adopt an old guy every once in a while, and sort of like make my whole life,
Well,
to be
you
like
got to be
that.
careful doing
know.
that. Sometimes we don't
So,
stay around that long.
so it was really important that we all got to meet Earl because he did so much work and he was working so fast that now I understand why. Now that I'm
Yes.
on this other end, I can kind of look and go, hey, that man, it was so important that he was so proactive. It was so important that this meant so much to him, and we wouldn't be anywhere without him, in a way.
Oh yeah, well, because you
wouldn't be
introduced
here.
us to him, he introduced us to so many amazing people that we've become friends with because he was good
Yes.
at that. So, like Dustin
He's a
from
great
MUFON,
connector.
director in Utah,
I
beautiful
was
human being, and it just figures that Lou knew someone like him, and many others we've had the pleasure to meet. So, thank you, James.
I was thinking
You
today it was
introduced
a
me to Earl.
privilege. It was a privilege that I knew him for the last few weeks of or months of his life. I felt privileged.
Yeah. Wow, what a chat we all had. This has probably been they're always good, but this has been one of the best. I,
I want to thank everybody for being here tonight.
yeah,
This is phenomenal. We've never had this many people on screen before. Love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
yeah. You guys all have a good night's sleep and sweet dreams, and I really mean that. I'm not being facetious. So,
Okay.
Yes.
Good to see y'all.
We'll see ya.
bye bye.
Bye,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye
Bye-bye.
Thank
bye.
you.
Thank
Love
you.
you guys a whole bunch.